Welcome to DT Madness Chronicles from the Third Life, episode 102, August 17th, 2024. So glad you could make it. Man, that is a fresh beat. All right. Sorry for the skipped week last week. I have been running around like a crazy man. I guess that I am, and that as I will. School is back in session, and I have 44 students in one class. 38 of them are boys. We're talking 15-year-old boys here, sophomores. My kid is one of them. I feel bad for the one girl that isn't a sophomore. The one girl is a senior, and there's some juniors sprinkled in, I guess, as well. Um, because the class is so large, um, I have we're meeting in what we call the Little Theater. It's our old auditorium. We got a new auditorium now. It's brand new, and so the Little Theater has a stage, and of course, and what I was able to do. It's been the really a storage area for the last couple of years as we've had construction going on. And so, on the stage are just stacked student desks and old material from the old theater department. And I mean, just tables, whatever. Like if somebody had a giant whiteboard, that was taken down off the wall that they didn't want anymore, it's there. And so I had to spend a good amount of time cleaning up the place. And I told the custodians that they were very willing to take on the task. But at the beginning of school, I mean, they've got all the other stuff. They're short staffed. Our staff is fairly complete, which is probably rare for most schools around the area, maybe around the country. I don't know about that. But we're fairly fully staffed, but not on the custodial side. We're pretty short-handed. And so, anyway, I told him, I was like, look, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to grumble under my breath about any of it. I want to do it. I love cleaning at home. I used to have DT's cleaning service. It's something that I enjoy. I didn't go into a rant about how much I love blowing the driveway, although I could. Um, so I got in there and I swept up the place with the little push broom. And then I tell you, I'm never good. I don't know how I can describe this thing, but like, what do it's a dustpan, but this one's got a handle on it, and an elite, like it's hinged on the bottom. Are you supposed to be able to just dump that thing over without having to touch the bottom? I've never gotten the hang of that particular apparatus. So whatever. But I swept up all the nasty, and then I got the mop out. I mean, I'm most likely Fish. I don't know what I was jamming out on, but I've got my earbuds in. The air conditioner does not work. We got a brand new air conditioner, brand new, but it doesn't work in the little theater. And so I'm sweating. I mean, I'm sweating now, and I'm mopping, and I'm jamming, and I'm loving it. Like the floor is getting shiny, and I'm moving chairs around as best I can. I still have stacks and stacks and stacks of chairs up in the back corner that I hope, and that big whiteboard is still in there too. I hope that I can get that all situated. But I got everything moved around. I got some spare tables. I brought in the spare tables, and I set out 44 chairs. I got some tablecloths. Uh, and put them on there to make it look kind of nice. And I'm operating from up on the stage. I got a TV that I can plug my computer into so that I can project whatever I need to project. And in they were coming now. Now I had to prepare for this first day because what I wanted to do was kind of set the tone um, with I don't know, like a little skit, a little theater. And so I had them come in. And the days before, what I had done is on each table, there's 9 tables. I had cut out uh, different logos, like a Tar Heel for North Carolina, the Blue Hen for Delaware, Minutemen for Massachusetts, the Nittany Lion for Pennsylvania, different college logos. I tried to go with public colleges as best I could for the nine tables, and then their name cards were arranged each on in alphabetical order around the room. And so they came in, and as they came in, I was hollering now. I was yelling. I was telling them they better sit down, and I got too many people in here. And Mr. Robson has already told me, he's the principal in charge of discipline. He's already told me that I've got full backing from him to use my strict rules to deal with this craziness. And I came in there and I was yelling, and I could see their faces. Like, I know some of them know me, and they knew I was probably messing around, but a good half, if not more than that, they had that look like, oh, oh. And so I put up the rules, and as I was putting on the rules up on the screen, I started to put on like a paper crown, and I had a red blanket that was my royal robe, and I had this a scepter, which ended up I mentioned something about shooting them with the laser, so that thing became a laser shooter, which I'd never really intended, but it worked out. Um, and the rules were such as like you have to keep your feet flat on the ground and your back straight in your chair at all times. We're not gonna. I told him, like, not gonna be a bunch of slouches in here, like you. And I'm calling them plebeians and peasants and all this kind of stuff, and that they must refer to me as Your Excellency, and that if they're late for class, then for every minute that they're late, it's 1 point off their final grade. And I'm saying all this kind of stuff, and they're freaking out. Like some of these are kids who have been under the pressure of grades and performance their whole lives, and oh my God, I've got to do this. If I don't do this, I'm never gonna. And they have all that, and so, oh, it's working beautifully. Now, the thing is that about 10 or 11 students, I had put a little slip of paper in there that says, hey, you don't have to put up with this junk. When you go to your table, when you break out into your table with the logo on it, you convince your people at your table that you don't have to put up with this king's nonsense, that you can rebel. And listen, there's an envelope taped underneath the table. And that didn't work as well as I wanted it to, because the daggum kids didn't actually read the little slip of paper. And so I had to kind of prod them into that. So finally that worked out though. And they pulled because now they're not in alphabetical order anymore. They were all jumbled up by which logo they had on the back of their card. And so now they're at their tables and they're pulling off this envelope that says, if you open, then you're committing treason. And inside it, they have to decide if they're going to do it, because if they do it, it's like declaring war. And so by declaring war, then they had to complete an assignment by 10 o'clock that night. And I put the Bugs Bunny on there, and it's like, of course, this means war. That kind of, watch Bugs Bunny. Um, and then they had to just write a sentence, basically a sentence or two, of why liberty is important. And I wrote on there a whole bunch of stuff about, you use GPT if you want, use the internet, use each other, you call your people, like whatever. I don't care if you get help. You should use the tools that you have available to you, but use those as tools and then make it into your own words. And then I followed it at the end of, like, if you do all this kind of stuff, you'll be successful in this class. Now let's get to work. And then I ended it with bet. And that was beautiful, because they don't know, and I got to let them know. Mr. Thomas, he knows what's up. Okay. But it really was awesome. And it really did set the tone for them to be involved in the class. I mean, we got into the stuff the next couple of days, and so it's going to be a challenge, but I'm really excited about using the little theater um, for all of that. I do have some other classes, like, obviously I've got AP seminar again, and that's such an interesting one that I know a lot better of what I'm doing this year, and I've got a pretty good class that seems to be buying in already. We'll see. It takes a little bit to kick that on in, but yeah, I've got a civics class in the morning, and that one's a little trickier. They're kind of just looking at me right now, like I don't like they ain't sure. They ain't too sure about me. But my fourth period did that the first day, as you will, and many of them are ninth graders, because because ninth graders take civics now, many of them because they take world history in eighth grade, the honors students. But on the second day, instead of talking too much about the social contract, I got way off on some tangents. I told them, we used to try to get Mr. Kistler off, and we knew that if we talked about cruises, if we brought up cruises, that Mr. Kistler would spend 30, 40 minutes, and we weren't having to prove triangles congruent, which I actually enjoyed. But um, now that I'm in this position, I understand that we weren't really getting him off task. He went there on purpose. He was willing to, because there's more to life than social contract. There's more to life than proving triangles congruent. And so I'm here and I'm telling him about all these things about my prom dates, and it's still confusing to me what really happened. My prom date was really the girlfriend of somebody else, and so I don't know. But I told them I went to this prom with my friend Sarah Ferguson at Shelby, and they assumed that that was my girlfriend. But I'm like, no. And so they're really, my face is turning red, because like the way that they're painting this picture, it isn't the way it was. I mean, it really wasn't. Um, but I'm telling them about that. I'm telling them about my trip to Presidential Classroom. I don't know if I told y'all about that before, but like I met my friend Macarena from Puerto Rico. We were all juniors in high school all across the country, and we got to tour all the things um, before 9/11. So there wasn't like the security level. So we got to go in the White House and everything. And I met my friend Allison Zerby from New Jersey, and they just happened to be females. They were people that I could talk to, and I told them about all that kind of stuff, and I told them about how my girl back home, it was Valentine's Day and I didn't call her because we didn't have cell phones. And I'm saying all this anyway, I'm telling them all this kind of random stuff about me. And I have to admit, like I beautifully weaved back into social contract at the end, but I made that connection. We connected most of the 28 students in that class on day two. And so that was good. It's also been really cool too to have some of my students who graduated this past year and are headed off. Like today is move-in day at Gardner Webb. Today is move-in day. I know people are going down to Wilmington and up to state in Raleigh, and like Durham to Duke. Like, and these kids came back to see me before they went away, and it just means a lot to me. It's pretty cool, man. What a job! I love it so much. I'm a tennis coach. Like, big coach guy. I'm a tennis coach, and I'm still trying to figure out all the things we've been practicing through all this nasty heat. Although, man, if you take a look at the forecast for next week, it still is going to be warm a couple of days, but the humidity is going to be down to below 50%, like 40%. It's going to feel so good next week. Brad Panovich, WCNC, says it's going to be the best late fall weather, late August weather that we've had in years and years. And I'm here for that because it rained a couple of days ago um, before tennis practice, but it stopped raining around noon. This must have been Tuesday before school started. And we have these rollers, and I got out there with the rollers to push the water around out of the puddles that it makes. Because once it gets flat, relatively flat, and it's not puddled up on that concrete or whatever tennis courts are made out of, then it dries pretty quickly. So I'm pushing that stuff around, listening to them Coolie Boys during this, and you guys. I'll come back, but man, them Coolie Boys. But anyway, listening to all that, and I get it fairly good. Go home for a little bit for lunch to let it all dry. Come back, and now there's this silt and sand all where that was. So I've got to get the push broom out, break it up, and then but then I got to. I'm a coach, and I didn't even realize this stuff. But now I have access to like the tools for the athletic department, and what the athletic department has is a backpack blower, like gas powered. Because I love blowing the driveway, y'all, but mine is the 20-volt Black and Decker. But I put the gas powered backpack blower on, and I was living the dream. But I was also whooped because I walked over 10 miles rolling those courts and brushing that stuff off. And wow. But we had tennis practice and we got it set. We got the lineup set. Now I'm trying to figure out how to get uniforms. And what is a tennis court anyway? And I don't know. Like, wow. Yeah. Tennis coach. Ladies tennis. Um, we got town council stuff going on too, and pretty big developments. Like we got this volunteer parent organization that's trying to start up. We've had this little breakup with the local Y, um, and so they were kind of our Parks and Rec department, but we've stopped our funding for them at least for the year, and but it's really promising, this baseball program that we see from this parent organization. We got some major grants that we're applying for and getting these deadlines in, and by October, oh man, I'm just I just hope, because we got so many things that we've got right on the doorstep, but we've got to get some funding because we're a local town. I mean, a small town, and our budget's just really limited. Um, I've been doing some work for a company called Outlier, and basically I am helping to train AI. Um, the 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 process is basically that I'm making sure that the AI response to a prompt has the human touch. And so when the thing takes us over, just remember that I was there at the beginning, and I'm speaking to the AI now. Remember, I was there, I was helping. And so maybe I could be on your team. It's really interesting work. It is really interesting work. Sometimes it gets a little bit tedious, and I'm making 15 bucks an hour just sitting here piping in on my computer. I've actually got one going right now, um, but I've got a little over an hour to finish it. So I think I can get back in before that. But I tried to use AI to create my own presentations for school, but I haven't quite figured out the best platform for that yet. But yeah, I got a bunch going on, man. School starting, coaching tennis, like I'm pushing probably 14, 15-hour days. Um, I've got been doing the mayor stuff, and working for AI here, trying to, my son is getting ready to start his basically last full year at University of App State, and then and Sid's a senior. We've been doing college tours. Whew, yeah, I love it all. I'm not it's not a negative thing at all, but I've been running around today as mayor person. I get to go to Gardner Webb and welcome the new students um, for orientation, and I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to talk about the things that we've got going on. I'm excited to talk about the the facilities that Gardner Webb has, and the fine professors that they have, and my time there, and how I understand what the parents are dealing with, because I have a college kid and one about to be, and I understand where the students are because I'm a high school teacher and I see all that. I know these people. But I'm excited to tell them about how it's the people, that it's the relationships that you build, and that's what's important. That's what makes Gardner Webb, Gardner Webb. There's one of uh, a member of our community, a coach, a social worker, Gardner Webb alum, guy who's lived and grown up in the county and served and helped so many people. His name was Chris Melton. Chris Melton passed away in the past week or so, and the funeral for him, it was just overwhelming. I mean, it was just the level of support and the level of people that he had impacted in his life was really impressive, really encouraging. And one of the things about it is that so many people, this guy was at Gardner Webb in 1990, 1992, and dozens, if not over 100 people came to this funeral from those years, from 3 decades ago. And it's that type of connection. It's that type of um, support, and and not necessarily that everybody is best friends, but it's a real thing, and that you can find that in the community as well, like not just on campus, not just for your 4 years, and it's not just the people that you meet that also go to Gardner Webb, but it's also the people that you meet in the town. Um, see, I have to say, and I think I'm skipping around here. I'm ad-libbing on my script, so we'll see if I apologize if it gets confusing, but I will say like that. I'm maybe you've heard it over the past 101 episodes, but I got a little bit of disillusionment with the church proper. Um, a lot of that has to do with like this evangelicals for MAGA kind of thing, and it's just it's pretty refreshing to read some of the Billy Graham granddaughter stuff. If you haven't, you could Google it and find it, or you could use Safari. You don't have to use Google. You could use whichever search engine you prefer. Um, and I've got my own personal history, with a pretty messy church disintegration and um, yeah. I don't mean to get into all that too much. I did see a Instagram story from one of my friends, one of my very first students at Christ High School, named Charlie, and he put up a post that said, like, basically, don't let your disillusionment with the church take away from your awe of Christ. And I needed that. I needed that because that's a real thing. That's a real thing. But I would tell you that I went to this funeral, and my friend Aaron Hinton is the pastor at Poplar Springs Church, and he was leading the services. And the first thing he did is he got up to say, "We're not supposed to be here." And I'm not gonna lie, like that phrase immediately kind of like, how can you make a statement like that? But he went on to say, like, this is a tragedy. This is not something that we expected. This is not what we were supposed to be doing. And I kept waiting because I kept waiting for him to drop into, oh, but there's a reason. God has a reason for this. And I don't mean to say that with such derision. I don't mean to say that with such sarcasm, because I don't mean to belittle anybody's faith if that's the way that you see it. But that for me is difficult to say that that this whole thing is it just becomes a difficult equation to work out. Um, but he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said this is a tragedy. We're not supposed to be here. And he said, you know what? But even still, he didn't say that there's a reason for it. He just said that the Lord still walks with us through this. And the rest of the deal, like the rest of his message, the rest of his handling with care and compassion of this particular service was just beautiful, filled with humor, filled with compassion. He broke up and cried a little bit his own self. Um, it had me, and still does, maybe considering going back and listening to Pastor Aaron and what he's got to say about things. But I just it's what maybe we shouldn't get into atonement theory and substitutionary atonement. I hear all my listeners dropping out by the second. It's just a thing where I've been thinking about the word realize, and my dad would use the word remember, but realize who you are. Make it real because it already is. And maybe the word is remember. That is better there. Who you are, whose you are. It's not a transaction. It can't be a transaction. It already is true, and my quest, my fulfillment, my wholeness is when I realize that it is true. Realize that, yes, the Lord walks with us. Remember who you are. It already is, but becoming and understanding and allowing that truth to be the reality of my own life, to break away the perceptions and misperceptions and the barriers that are put between me and the other, Yeah, it was good, man. It really was good. My mantra for my kids this year is make it yours. We've been through a couple of different ones. Um, and I wrote one both for I wrote one for Sid and Isaac, and I also wrote one for Sam. But just like the fits you choose to wear to school, make it yours. The room that you live in, make it yours. The living space, the foods you eat, the songs you listen to, the TV shows you watch, make it yours. The classes that are interesting, at least on some days, and those you have to try to figure out a way to get through. The amazing energy of being at the Rock when the black and gold come out at App State, or the green and gold when the Chargers come running in. The trips to see kids, like when he gets to go on site and see his little fourth graders playing disc golf, the jokes, the laughter, the fear, and the uncertainty, the common, the friends that are ride or die, at least for this season, and those that are brand new, the study sessions, the late night hangs, the views from the mountains when the leaves are just right, the Instagram memes, the ridiculousness of our politics, the coffee drinks and visit from friends, the roundabout stories that Nana tells, or the intrinsic care and concern that Nana and Grandmama provide, the attaboys that rain down from heaven where Pop resides, Granddaddy's choices of hat, all that love, make it yours. The immense and immaculate pride that your mom and I feel for you, the joys and sorrows that we feel alongside you, the hopes and the dreams, the path, make it yours. Because you are. Because you are. You are. And I know you remember. Think about your steps, those most perfect steps. Sometimes forward, sometimes back. Your perspectives and understandings and compassions and passions are revolutionary, and others notice they do. What you do and say matters, so make it yours. But not so that they will see, not because you are required, you aren't, but because you are the most beautiful, exquisite, revolutionary. And the revolution starts here. Not for me, not for mom, not for them, for you. So make it yours. We listened to the Cooley Boys, and there's this song called Sunset Sermons. And we were riding and watching the sunset along this big green field at what is called Beaver Dam Church. And my daughter was riding in the truck with me after we had come back from Dairy Queen. And I just saw this smile on her face because she recognized the moment. She recognized it. Realize it. It is already. This has been a Church of Six production, brought to you by the Bucket of Life, the Rope of Relationship, the Foundation Tower of Stone, the Wall of Belief, the Token of Hope, the Magic Rock times one received and one given. Nothing divine is desperate, and in order to be, try to never seem. May all your circumstances serve to awaken compassion, and as you go, teach peace. Don't forget to believe, y'all, and be live. Peace, my friends.